Hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions. And in this video, since we already have the mahogany door already installed, as you guys can see here in the back side of the garage, for the first time in a long while, the shop is completely empty. We finally have our power ran. I can do stuff like this. You guys probably can't see, but actually I'll give you guys a shot. I can turn on my air cleaner right overhead. Let me turn everything on. I can cut on my vacuum. And I can also turn on my table saw. Oh. Funny, I had the breaker turned off because I was trying to figure out which outlets, because I went through this with my electrician, you know, which outlets I wanted for the table saw breaker, dust collection, wall outlets. I had all that stuff separated, and I was testing them because I don't have covers on them yet until I put the plywood up. So I was trying to make sure, I'm gonna label them, probably color code them, like these are all the table saw circuits, these are all the wall outlets, etc. But now, like I was about to say, for the first time I can turn my air cleaner on. My vacuum. My table saw. You don't have any flickering lights come on when that happens. And when I do get lights hung, I already picked out, I believe it's gonna be 6 lights inside the main garage. I picked up these 3400 lumen, I think 45 watt LED balusters. There's gonna be 6 of them inside the main shop. Double here, 2 right above the camera, and then 2 all the way up front. I'm also adding lights in that back room. But now I'm able to run pretty much all of my equipment as I need to, and my air cleaner can be running as well. So my lungs, one of those really important tools that you don't get more than one of inside of woodworking or inside of construction or life in general. I can kind of get that stuff taken care of. It's nice to be able to have that finally set up. The lights are going to be the big thing. So once I get a plywood ran, hopefully in the next week or 2, I can go ahead and get the lights up. But what we're working on right now is for that door, we need to do an extension jamb. And I want my extension jamb to have mahogany on the face of it because it's going to match the door. But then the rest of it, I'm going to make out of a 2x pine. And that's going to be what kind of gives it a filler and also gives me something to nail to. And it allows me to attach my filler strip, my extension jamb, without having any fasteners in it. You'll see how I do that when I go to install. But right now we're going to be making up a sandwich of pine and mahogany. Then we're going to go into making the actual door casing. I believe I want the extension jamb needs to be about 2.5, maybe 3 inches. I'm going with like an 1.25 inch thick casing. So the filler strip actually only needs to be 2.5. So what we're gonna do is set the table saw to 2.5 inches. Get my blade height dialed in. Just lower that just a little bit. And then you wanna bring the fence over to 2.5 inches. Double checker. That looks good. Verify the width. And we got that 2.5 that we're looking for. All right, with these pieces cut, the next thing I need to do is rip some mahogany, so also 2.5 inches. Essentially what I'm looking at doing is making a sandwich. This mahogany then will sandwich this, creating my reveal and my extension jamb all at the same time. I went with 2.5 because I already had a piece of mahogany that was already ripped at 2.5. So I need to rip 2 more pieces. Let me actually make sure this is long enough. The legs are like 84, maybe 85 inches. That's like 84.5, so this one can be the header. And then I have 1 piece right here. That is probably a full 8-foot piece. Yeah, I think this is a full 8. Yep. So this one can be the 2 legs. This one can make the header piece. So let me reset the blade. Rip this into 2.5 inch pieces. All right, I have my 3 extension jamb pieces. Because again, I could go in there and add 2x4 framing all around the opening and then cut my jamb legs to length, fasten them in this way. Then I have nail holes going all the way up the jamb leg. And again, the goal, because this is mahogany, is to fill as little holes as possible. And any holes that I do want to fill, I'm going to use a black caulk to make it look like a knot. So I don't want to have a line of nails going straight down this piece, which just doesn't look natural. When I actually nail the casing off, because I'm going to have solid wood behind it, because I'm adding another piece of wood back here. Because again, on the interior trim job, you might just make an extension jamb out of just a piece of 3/4 or 1/2 inch material. Your casing will hit here, then you hit your drywall. In this case, because we're going inside of brick, there's nothing else for it to catch, so I actually need to extend my framing out further, which is why I'm going to attach my framing to the back side of the extension jamb to make a sandwich. And then how I'm going to attach this to my door jamb is by driving screws through the actual pine material, keeping this completely flawless. I might pre-assemble the whole thing, drive screws from the top to make it a full unit, stand it up and slide it in place is what I'm thinking. But we'll see how it happens when I actually get there. But the first step is to actually make the material. And I was able to get 4 rips out of this pine material. And I believe I needed blanks that were roughly 3 inches by 3 inches, or 3 inches by 2.5 is what I'm going to end up making, because my casing is going to be thick enough to get it out far enough to where it looks just fine. So, because my casing being 1 1/4 instead of 3/4 like I was initially planning, my extension jamb doesn't need to be a full 3 inches. But I have 3/4 plus 1.5 inches right now. This is giving me, should be 2 1/4, and we have 2 1/4. So that's what this sandwich will make up. So I want to be able to add it a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is take my 3rd and extra piece of my 4th extra piece of 2x. I'm going to rip it in half. That's going to be glued together. So that would make the side pieces, I would get theoretically 3/4, but I have an 1/8 inch blade. So another 5/8 plus the 2 1/4 or something like that, which make it a little bit thicker. So when I nail my casing onto the face of it, I can actually fasten to something solid. I'll be able to spray foam behind it and everything else to make sure everything's nice and weather sealed. So my next step is to set the blade to not 3/4, but to 5/8 should be the number, because that should be the middle. 3/4 and 3/4, not 5/8, it should be 11/16 because the 1/8 inch blade. So we're gonna get that dialed in and then make this rip. And if I'm really good, we rip it right down the middle the first time. And then I don't want to go end for this one. I would like to go all the way through. So let's raise the blade. I do have a decent ripping blade on it, so you can make this cut all in one pass. We're gonna go just the gullet above. I think that is as close to dead center as you can get it. So what we're looking at for each one of these sandwiches, it'll be 3/4, 3/4. And these will be the sandwiches for the jam legs. And if you guys didn't notice, I just completely knocked my mic off of my apron. It's one of my new running problems, losing the mic mid-recording. But essentially, these are going to make up my jam legs. I have a 3/4 piece of mahogany up front. Then I have like roughly the 11/16 and the 1.5 piece of 2x4. Once I glue these up as a sandwich, I'm going to be able to stack my casing on top of it. I'm planning to have like a 1/2 inch reveal, so with a 3/4 inch piece of mahogany, there's still plenty of mahogany revealing outward, and none of the pine will actually show. But by gluing it together as a solid sandwich like this, I can drive like 4-inch deck screws through the framing into the actual door frame, and that would actually keep me from having to apply fasteners through the mahogany, essentially keeping the extension jamb completely flawless and no fasteners in it. And then, you know, just less nail holes to fill. And whenever you're working with hardwood moldings or hardwood in general, the less holes and fasteners, the better. Now for the header piece, the one issue with that is that it has like a 4x6 header beam kind of sitting on top of the door jamb. Because it's a brick opening, that kind of just pretty much heads off the brick opening. So my extension jambs cannot, for the header piece at least, can't go the full height. So what I'm going to do is probably add blocks to the 4x6 header, and I'll kind of fur it out to the front side of my extension jambs. And probably how I'm going to install the extension jamb, I'm probably going to actually take all my measurements, cut it everything to length, and then make it into a solid extension jamb piece, or like a full frame. I'm going to probably drive some screws through the top side of the header into the 2 jam legs, and then pretty much install it all as one piece, just to kind of make sure everything's seamless, less fasteners, and keep everything perfectly flush with each other. So this is going to be my process for the extension jamb. You guys will see that in the next video when we go into gluing everything up. But I do have a few pictures at the end of the video kind of showing you what it looks like when everything's installed. The next step after that, though, will be gluing everything together, then making the casing. But if you guys have enjoyed this process, let me know down in the comments. Leave me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.